Hey everyone, you're listening to Your Daily Brew, featuring your hosts Ezekiel Orlana, and
Jeffrey Cherian.
every week we're going to be bringing you content ranging from any and everything that we can possibly think about. Um, Overall, this is a podcast really about nothing and everything all at the same time, and we hope you guys follow along with us on this journey to, well, actually we have no idea where, but we'll try and make it as enjoyable and as entertaining as possible. So, yeah, we look forward to the journey ahead, and happy listening.
So how about you start by saying how you came up with this idea for making a podcast?
Oh,
Let's hear that story.
Okay.
How people want to know?
People,
I've
that's
been
the question
friends.
we've been getting from like the 10 friends that we've told about, right?
Yeah.
About the podcast.
Yeah.
Why are you starting a podcast?
Yes.
What's it
about? What's it about? That's a big question.
You? Ew. Who's gonna listen to you?
Yeah.
You know? And shut up, Becky. Who cares what you had to say? But if you're listening now, cool. We enjoy that. And please follow us on our Instagram, YDBpod.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. How did this start? Well,
so once upon a time.
Okay, well, all right. Once upon a time.
Yes.
Once upon a time.
Oh, beautiful. Already a great story.
There was a guy named me, and he decided that when he moved all of his at-home office furniture from one room to the second room, he needed a really cool thing on his desk.
All right, me.
So yeah, I'm so over this narrative already. Anyways, yeah, I decided to moving furniture from one room to the next room, repainted it, everything like that. Just needed to change the pace from like my old office space at home to the new one. Anyways, my desk was almost totally blank outside of like a couple monitors that I use for work, and maybe like an iPad or something. So I love going to Best Buy. I love window shopping at Best Buy. And, techie guy, kinda. I'm not gonna say like I'm anything great or special when it comes to all that, but I know my way around Best Buy at least. So went to Best Buy with my girlfriend, and we're looking around. I'm looking for like a gaming mouse, like the cool, colorful, changing LED lights, all that stuff. I don't know. I was just on this binge of getting all those LED lights. I love those things. I was a sucker for them. So we're down that aisle in the Woodbridge Best Buy, and in that same aisle, I never walked down far enough to be able to see the recording equipment that they had. And lo and behold, I look to my left, and on the displays they have all these microphones. And so I'm just kind of like, oh wow, it's cool. I haven't seen a professional microphone in like forever.
Yeah.
I look, just scanning through, and I see this really deep, really nice blue Yeti microphone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. What a thing of beauty.
I got it. Yeah. Absolutely. It's just freaking lovely.
But just for your desk though.
Yeah. So I looked at it, and I was just like, it was just this thing. It wasn't a light bulb. It was just a strike of electricity, because it was the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah.
And it made no sense. It was random. So, and it was just like, you need it. Like
Destiny?
Everything in me was like,
Is that Destiny?
yeah, it's like Destiny awaits.
I know like 2-3 friends, and they were like, so he got it for his room. And I was like, yeah.
Absolutely. So I saw it. I saw it, and I looked at my girlfriend, and I'm like, yo, I need this. Like, this thing would look great on my desk. Don't you think? And she's just like, oh, yeah, it looks great. And she's like, how much is it? And I looked at the price tag, $199.99. Solid $200 right there.
What?
And then I was just like, oh, I don't know, it's not that bad. I was so in the moment, so eager to get it. And so she's just reprimanding me, and she's telling me, no, don't do it, that you don't need it, you're not going to use it, you don't need it.
Yeah.
Why the heck are you going to buy this stupid thing to put on your desk? It's just dumb.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, fine. So lo and behold, I think it's like 2 weeks later. Right?
2 weeks later.
Yeah. Tossing that little SpongeBob narrator there. 2 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
Yes.
I go back because I had to return something. So I decided, return the thing, and then I was like, let me go look at the mice again, all right? Because I still didn't get a new mouse. I hated the one I had. It was like this cheap piece of thing. So I went, and I was like, oh, I knew exactly which mouse I wanted. So I went down that aisle, and I grabbed it, and then I looked at the thing again, the mic, And I was just like, So I scanned it because with the Best Buy app, you can scan the QR code and you can see like if it's on sale or something like that. I scanned the thing.
Yeah.
So it was $199.99
Originally.
And then it was like it popped up. Though I guess the box that I saw wasn't the same one as the tag. So it was actually retail for like $140. So I guess the one that was $200 had like a bundle program software or something like that, which made it more expensive. So right off the bat, I was like, oh, the one I definitely want is only $140. So I'm already saving $60.
Wow.
And on top of that, it was like on sale.
Yeah.
And it was on sale for like $90.
Wow.
And so it went from $140 to like $90. It was like a ridiculous cut.
Wow.
And then on top of that, I was just like, oh, I have gift certificates for Best Buy.
Wow.
So I had like up to $25. What are you doing?
I was reflexive at that point.
I had $25 gift certificates. I was like, oh, you crunching the numbers and you do the maths and it's cheap. So I spent.
Compared to $200.
Yeah, I spent like almost with tax and everything. It ended up being like 70, just under 75 or something like that. I got the mic. I came home, put it on my desk. It took. I'm terrible at keeping secrets about the things I buy to my girlfriend. So it took everything in me to not tell her, like, hey, I bought a microphone. I bought it. Like, I got it. Like, I wanted to tell her so bad.
I got it.
And I saw her later that night, and I'm just like, I went to her house hanging out, and I was just like, oh, I should tell her. Like, I
got the microphone.
And I'm screaming in my brain, exactly. And then, so the next day, she comes over, and I'm like, let's just wait till the next day. She's coming over. She comes over the next day. She comes into my office, and I'm like lagging behind. And then she's like, oh my gosh, you got it? Like, she sounds excited. And then she was like, you bought it. Like, you spent the money on it. I was just like, no. It was on sale, and I had a gift certificate. It wasn't that much money. I saved like almost 50%. And she was just so like, you need to do something with that microphone. There is no way you just spent that money for this thing, for like decor on your desk. There's no way.
I mean, to be fair, it looks nice.
I mean, yeah, it looks fantastic.
It's a great. It's a blue microphone, but it's literally a blue color.
They call it midnight blue, and
it looks great. His office looks great, by the way, guys. So I mean,
thank you. Well,
it's a clean desk, and you just see this, and it's just like
I should not take all that credit. That's all my girlfriend, all the interior design and all the decorations and everything. But, so she's like, you have to do something with this thing, and then she was like, I don't know what it is. You got to figure it out. I was like, what about? She was like, why don't you start a podcast? And I was just like, oh, podcast, and she's like, yeah, like. I don't know, just do once a month or something. It doesn't have to be so often. And just talk about whatever. Anything you want to think of. Talk about coffee. Talk about music. You like collecting vinyl records. Talk about that or something. And then I was just like, you know what? I like that idea a lot. And it was just, this was the light bulb. And I was just like, oh man, that's actually pretty cool. And so, and then she was like, yeah, you could do it alone. And then I was just like, better. I'm gonna ring in my best bud from like years and years. Yeah. And I'm gonna let this dude know.
Hey, Jeffrey. Then I showed up.
And I'm gonna let this guy know. I'm gonna be like, hey, you want to do this thing with me? You want to start this thing? And at first, I was hesitating because in my brain, I'm like, this is a great idea. We'll do it like once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever. It'll be great. Like, we've worked together before, but it's gone nowhere, which we'll come back to later. All right? Yeah. And I'm like, and I thought about that. I was like, wait. Yeah, we worked together before, but it's gone nowhere. And I'm like, oh, he might still have some sort of like PTSD from all that, from like us working and putting in all the time, but nothing coming out of it. I'm like, there's definitely still some salt there or something like that. I'm like, and I understand. So I'm like, all right. So I was like, just come in swinging, let him know about the idea, and let's just see what he said. Well, you say. And so that's what I was thinking, all in my brain within like a couple minutes after she suggested that idea. And I was like, immediately, I texted you. Did I text you or call you?
Instagram DM.
Instagram DM.
Yeah, you were showing. So you sent me this picture of
the mic.
I was like, that's really pretty.
And I was like, yo.
So what are you using that for?
It's like, we're starting a podcast, you and me.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you? I was like, nah, you and me. So
and I was like, oh shit. I don't know anything about podcasts, but I'm not doing anything. I mean, I have the band thing, but like I'm not doing anything else.
Yeah,
so,
another thing we gotta come back to later.
The
Your
band?
other creative endeavors that you're partaking in. Anyways,
But yeah, I was down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know much about podcasts. I watched one or two, but then it was like, it'd be cool to try it out, I was open to it and see what happens, If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, I think it's a whole idea philosophy about, saying yes to things, trying out new things. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But, at least you tried it. You learned something from it. You got wiser. If it works, you win. Or you learn from it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And so that's why I'm like, in my head and in my heart of hearts, I was just thinking to myself, I was just thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, I got to make sure that this definitely happens.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotten to the point now where I'm just like, I don't care, I know everyone says this, oh, I don't care about, who follows me, who likes me, blah, blah, blah. But in my head, none of that was really important, like the numbers and the stats or whatever. For me, it was just like, I just want to make this thing with him. Like, I just want to make this thing where we're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
We get to chat and everything like that. And, if people want to listen, cool. And if people want to tag along, and just make us a part of their, if they want to save all the podcasts and listen to them and binge them like a Netflix, show, or they want to listen to them as they come out, weekly, however it is, yeah, sure. Make us part of, and I quote, your daily routine from Good Mythical Morning. So I always liked that idea because it's just going on a drive and listening to the podcast, just chilling out in your bed or at home, just doing your own thing and just listening, to this. To this medium of entertainment, and I just always enjoy the concept of a podcast. So, I definitely was just thinking all these things and had all these emotions, and I was like, yeah, I'm actually really excited. For the first time ever in a very long time, I'm like, yeah, this is actually really exciting for me.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I was so excited. I'm still so excited about it. I'm just kind of like, man, we've been working on this for like over just about a month, just under a month now.
That's an interesting process in itself, actually.
But
I like the whole idea about like creating something for people to like consume. Like you made something. This mass of molecules created some sort of material for other people to, interact with. Like we did that. It's crazy to me. Like the whole creating thing, it's just crazy to me,
And there's so much work involved, and what we're doing ultimately, it's pretty simple. We're doing probably one of the simplest forms of creative entertainment or creator content.
But that being said, though, we're trying. We're like, I think that's part of the reason why we've never managed to create anything in the past. And I know he touched base on that earlier. It's because I guess we're kind of like perfectionists.
We are terrible. I can attest that I am a horrible perfectionist.
And I'm like that too. And it's not even his fault. It's like even with other people I work with, like with musically, it's just like if it's not right in my head, we're not gonna go through with it. Like it has to be perfect. And that's why like with this podcast, like it's been a month and we haven't really posted anything. And it's because we really want it to be perfect. We want it to, like you said, like
I want to come in through the door swinging.
Full swinging.
Yeah.
And this might not even go up, but it's the fact we keep trying at it. We keep perfecting it. Building on that that thing. I think we're getting better at it the more we're doing it. So,
yeah, no, definitely.
So
I think this is
how many? Yeah, well, how many have we done?
This is the fourth podcast we recorded. This is the fourth. Fifth, actually, yeah.
Okay, so we got the first one we ever did.
So the breakdown that we did so far was when I had the mic and then Jeff came over with the equipment. We went right into it. He said, let's see where it goes.
What happens. Yeah, we literally just hit record.
An hour and 36 minutes later.
I literally I just pressed record just to test the audio quality, and we just kind of went off from there. I was like, all right, whatever.
And so it was an hour and 36 minutes later, and it was just a hodgepodge mess,
Yeah.
just all over the place. There was no structure.
I thought it was great.
Because that's such a typical us conversation.
Yeah.
Like whenever we catch up, whenever we're talking about, that's just how we are.
Yeah.
You can ask my girlfriend, you can ask my other friends. I'll just go on so many tangents, and that's a bad quality about me, and that's how you are. So when you put us in a room together and you let us like talk,
but also a great quality
my
about Zeke too is like, if you give him a topic, he'll talk about it for huge lengths of time, which is great for the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
But
in person, it's terrible. Like my girlfriend tells me to shut up. People tell me to shut up. I know. I talk too much.
It's fantastic. He's like made for this thing though.
I know.
Like, for this podcast, it's perfect for him.
Oh, thanks.
Like you can go like if I don't like say much usually, so it's like he can usually jump in and say huge like a lot, and I'll just have to like add in here and there to keep him going.
Oh, but no, you've gotten so much better.
But I have been getting. Yeah. I think the coffee's helping. Yeah, what was that? That's actually a good point. How did you come up with the name? What we were in Omi's.
We were okay. So
we were talking about coffee for like an hour.
We talked about coffee. For
I know
like
nothing about
an
coffee.
Hour and a half.
I'm starting to like it more, but
so the name came up because. I don't know. I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, like I'm a coffee, expert or something like that.
He knows.
But I would say, I know my way around coffee. I know my way around a good coffee shop versus a bad one. About this whole which is better, Starbucks and Dunkin' and all that stuff, and why the answer is, well, that's not a good question. All right. But that aside, that could be its whole own thing. All right, and we got to spend some time on that. That's gonna be its own thing. But, yeah. So, in my head, I'm kind of thinking like, oh, just coming in and pitching the idea to you, it was just like, all right, well, maybe like the theme or the cover art or something could be coffee related, like your latte arts and all that stuff. The all that. So when we went to this local coffee shop, shout out to Omi's. It's a coffee shop and yoga studio. It's fantastic out in Linden/Roselle, New Jersey, or over there. It's great if you're in the Woodbridge Township area. Definitely check it out, Omi's. Anyways, we went to there and we were catching up after 2+ year hiatus of not speaking to each other. All right, for reasons that we'll dive into way later on in the podcast. But spoiler alert, right? But when I pitched that idea, I was just like, all right, yeah. It should be coffee related, and we got to talking about coffee for like an hour plus. So when I went back home and I was talking to my girlfriend, I was just like, oh, what about names? I'm having a hard time thinking of names or whatever. And she was just like, oh, you should do something like about latte or like brew or, coffee. And she was like, what about brew? What about like Daily Brew or something? And then I was just, oh yeah, that sounds great. And so and then she was like, oh, make it Your Daily Brew. And then I was like, I had the same instinct. My instinct was, oh, but we're not gonna make it daily. It's not gonna be a daily.
Well, my friend brought that up too.
It's just like oh, but it's not a daily podcast. Like it's gonna go out weekly.
Yeah, my friend was like, oh, so you're gonna post every day? And I was like,
it's just like, no, you don't understand how much work that would be to post every day. That'd be insane.
Yeah.
We'd be doing $5 5-minute podcasts or something like that every day.
That's the one thing I brought up too with you is keeping it short, because I don't know if people wouldn't want to hear that long.
Oh yeah, and so we'll get to the time management and everything, but yeah, she said, oh, Your Daily Brew, and then it just clicked. I was just like, that's perfect. I was like, but again, instinct, daily, we're not gonna post daily. She's like, you don't have to. It's just a name. And then I was like, yeah, you're right, because in my head I'm thinking I listen to one of my favorite podcasts is Ear Biscuits. All right, let that sink in. The name of a podcast is called Ear Biscuits by Rhett and Link from Good Mythical Morning, the YouTube channel. And I'm like, after so many years of being their fan and everything like that and listening to stuff, I still to this day, 5-6 years plus of being their fan, I had no idea what the heck an ear biscuit was. I had no idea what the hell it was. And I'm like, what is that? What is that? Where did they come up with the name? They've mentioned it a couple times, and to this day, I could not tell you how they came up with the name. But it's just a name. It's just after a while, you just get used to it. And they're like, they only post once a week. I'm using them as an example because they're my biggest example. They only post once a week. and it's called Ear Biscuits, and they say one of their mottos is, and which I quoted earlier, "Oh, we love to be a part of your daily routine." You know, even like their YouTube comes out every day, but their podcast comes out weekly, like I said,
Yeah.
and it's just like they say that for their podcast. And I'm like, yeah, who cares? It's just a name. So when I pitched you the idea, you said the same thing. Oh, the daily. You're like, you liked it,
Uh-huh.
and then it's like, oh, the daily thing. And then
Yeah.
your friend said that
Yeah.
too, right? And I'm like, it's just a name.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
It's
It could
the
come out once a
irony,
year.
the irony of it.
Yeah.
It's just
And
Your Daily Brew,
the weekly podcast.
So
my sister pitched that because when I told her, she's like, "Oh, so you guys are making it daily?" I was like, "No, it's coming out weekly." And she's like, "Oh, that's funny." She's like, "Your Daily Brew, the weekly podcast." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's perfect. I'm gonna use that." so that's kind of how the name came about. How the idea behind like the where we kind of start implementing the coffee culture aspect to it. You know, you'll see our cover art, our logo, you know, our Instagram, which we'll have being posted and all that stuff, and you'll see kind of like this kind of coffee vibe-ish
we
feel
also
to some of the
drink
pictures.
coffee
Yeah,
during it.
you have to.
I
drink
have
coffee.
to. Actually, I'm like, I feel
Tell
like
them why.
I'm usually like kind of laid back, but the minute I have coffee, I'm like off the walls. I'm like jittery. And I think it helps bring more energy to it. I think
Yeah,
you were
totally.
saying? Like the last one we did, it was just like, I was like really talking a lot.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic.
So he's like, we gotta make you drink coffee every podcast. Said Zeke makes pretty good coffee, so I like iced coffee, so it helps too.
It was so funny seeing you like from recording the first one, where I know I could be more of a I'm not even gonna be like humble about it. I can take a conversation and just take it over. Right.
And I'm usually the type to be more listen. Like I'll
Yeah.
listen. I don't like interjecting because I don't like to be rude.
So, but for me personally, I'm like, okay, in my head, it's kind of like if I'm having a conversation with someone and they're not talking and there's silences, I know the difference between, I can tell the difference between a good silence and like an awkward silence. And I'm like, if I feel an awkward silence, I'm like, I have to. It kills me inside. And most people, you know, anybody, it kills me inside. Like, oh, I got to fill this gap.
Yeah.
So let's just figure something to talk about.
Throw in.
Exactly. So with me, I need someone to like interrupt me. I want someone to kind of like match me kind of head on when it comes to being able to take over the conversation, kind of just keep guiding it in whatever direction. Like I love that. And so when you have coffee, when not coffee, when you have a freaking double shot like cappuccino, iced cappuccino at my house.
Is this cappuccino?
This is a double shot cappuccino.
Oh no!
A homemade double shot cappuccino.
Okay.
No sugar, no syrup, no, just straight up bold caffeine.
Yeah, just any caffeine.
Solid
like,
brew.
I'm feeling it, man. I'm just like,
and a bunch of ice cubes, and I'm like, man, it's a night and day difference with you, and it's awesome. I'm just kind of like, man, this guy. If you want to get Jeff to talk, anybody out there, you're friends with this guy, you want to get to know him some more, I highly recommend it. He's an awesome guy. He's a mensch. But you definitely take him on a coffee date and you won't regret it.
Oh, jeez.
All right?
Take him not too overbearing.
Take him on a coffee. His current favorite
I think
coffee.
it makes me more makes me more of a personality, I guess, with coffee. I guess.
You totally
chill date, no coffee.
Yeah.
If you want to have a good time. Yeah.
His favorite coffee at the moment, it stands to the Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee.
That is simple. I'm a simple man.
Yeah,
I'm still getting into the coffee culture.
It's your taste, man. It's your preference.
Hey, no sugar. I like cream. Just caramel. Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of that caramel syrup.
Just a small one, man.
Yeah. Even that gets you going. And you can get a small, it's like a stainless shot. I'm over here, I'm brewing you like a condensed double shot of it. It's insane.
It's just drugs, man. He's making drugs for me to
No. Okay, that's not what I'm doing here. That's not what I'm doing here.
Anyways, also another thing. So we have to talk about that is the what is it about?
Okay.
That's the one thing I hate getting asked about because it's like you say this a lot. It's about nothing. It's not about nothing, but you know, it's very general. It's what, right?
I mean, I mean, it's your show too, man.
Yeah, no, but it's like the whole idea about, it's just like whatever's on our mind, whatever we want to talk about. It's very general.
Exactly.
So it's whatever's on our minds. Like, so last week we talked about, I can just say it, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
We talked about fast food.
Yeah.
And that just came up because, we were talking about, like, Popeye's chicken sandwiches. And we were just like, oh, I want to talk about fast food. All right, let's talk about fast food. We talked about fast food. and like, what was we talked about? Like, well, the first two, it was, like, more general. We just talked about whatever came to our head. And then we kind of start tying the loose ends. And that's how we came up with the one called endings, because a lot of it we kind of interconnected it with it was endings. So it's like whatever comes to our head. It's not anything in particular. It's not specifically sports related or like politics related. We're probably never going to do politics because
there's absolutely no way.
It's a big can of worms.
We're not doing
politics.
any of that, and so I'm just gonna jump in here for a quick second, but you're absolutely hitting all the nails on the respective heads here. That's exactly what the pod is about.
You said about the layman.
Yeah.
So talk about the layman.
So the idea behind it is when we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. All right. We've agreed on that. We're not here to bring in new ideas and thoughts.
Because that's what I was telling him. I was like, I don't know what I can contribute to this. Because I'm not like anybody huge. I'm not like a scholar or a doctor or anything. So I don't know what are we going to talk about.
Exactly. And it's just like, and I told him, I was just like, well, we're just two regular guys. We're just two laymen, just everyday people. And
I was like, what's a layman?
It's just an everyday guy, an everyday person, nobody too fancy, no one too special, but no one that's, just like a horrible, terrible human being. Just a regular everyday dude.
Average Joe.
Just an average Joe. We're just two cup of Joes over here.
Yeah.
All right. And we're just like, let's just talk. Let's just have our conversations.
Yeah.
It's like the same, where would we be or what would we be doing if we weren't recording ourselves while having these conversations? We'd probably be in a coffee shop. We'd probably be getting a bite to eat somewhere. Yeah. That's what we'd be doing, So it's just like, all right, well, let's record those conversations. Yeah. Let's share them and let's see, let's just continue with the conversations that are currently being had in today's world.
Yeah.
It could be about, the great debate, like fast food debates, which is better where, blah, blah, blah. It could be about endings to whatever it is, like how we talked about TV shows, movies, whatever it is, relationship. Any and everything that we can think of. And this is my idea behind it was just like, I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, right? The sitcom. And if you haven't watched Seinfeld, I highly recommend it also. I'm coming and swinging with these recommendations, but I definitely recommend it. Because the whole concept, and they even play on this idea in the show, is that it's a show about nothing. Whatever, it's the daily lives, it just happens. They talk about whatever comes up, that's what they do. They get mixed up in stuff that happens if it's just an everyday, somebody's going to go get soup at a new soup place. Yeah. They make a whole 20-something minute episode about it, and it's awesome. It's fun. And over here it's just kind of the same thing. It's just like, well, we're not trying to do anything special. We're just trying to have conversations.
Continuing the conversation.
And continuing those conversations and just trying to make, have fun with it.
Yeah.
We're not going to try and force humor or force, gags or whatever. But we're just here to have fun, and that was really the big pitch at the end of the day.
Yeah, we just kind of went with it. Yeah. So
that's what it is. That's what this podcast is about. All right, it's a podcast about nothing. Whatever comes to our brain will come in every week with a different topic. It could be story time. It could be about a specific current event. Whatever comes to our tiny little brains.
Yeah. And
that's what we're going to talk about if we so desire.
And if you enjoy it, that's great.
That's awesome, and we appreciate you. And if it's not your favorite, well, then hopefully you will find, some favorites or some tidbits from each conversation to your liking.
Yeah.
But this is a great time to kind of pitch our Instagram again. Check out our Instagram at
YDBpod.
And over there, we're going to do our best to be posting at least weekly, just like our podcast, letting everyone know when the pods go up. Feel free to comment. If you have ideas of topics, we're so happy to take on any ideas that you've got. Please, understand that we're not trying to talk about anything very controversial, political, things of that nature. We're going to do our best to completely avoid anything like that. And if there's any time that those topics do come up, we're going to do our best to just run right through them without spending too much time or harping too much on them. All right, we'll harp on coffee and we'll harp on the Dunkin' versus Starbucks debate, but we're gonna do our best to avoid anything super controversial. And it's just for the sake of our listeners. We don't want to start arguments. We don't want to do that. We just want to have fun, everyday conversations, and that's what the heart and soul of this is about. But yeah, man. So tell them about our failed cooperative attempts in the past.
So, we talk about me and Zeke, we met up when we were like junior year of high school. Sophomore.
End of sophomore year of high school.
Oh, we were in gym class together. We started talking then.
2012.
Yeah.
2012, 2013.
But we started really talking when he invited me to guitar club. I think he told me about he was in charge of its guitar club. And that's when I started getting into music, is because through him. And where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so we used to jam out and make music together and stuff like that, and I was thinking of maybe making a band or making some music with him, making a song. So we try to make so many different songs. And part of it's my fault. I guess my creative process is not the best or whatever. So so every time we try to...
It was tough.
Yeah. And it's I don't even know. Were you interested in doing that sort of thing? I don't know. So I forced him at sometimes. I was like, oh, you come up with a song. Come on, let's try to... And
we made a song.
We did your song, actually.
I made a skeleton of a song.
Yeah.
And I remember that night, I stayed up until... It was the first time in my life that I stayed up until 3 a.m. working on something. And lo and behold, it was a foreshadowing of all of my college years to come.
Wow.
To this date.
Right? That was pretty good. I think that song.
6+ years. I recorded it with some piece of crap, microphone on your headphones type of thing. Yeah. And I made up the lyrics the day before. It was tough. But I had just a really quick guitar rhythm and riff, and I just laid some lyrics.
And that was pretty good. It was good. I think I generally had I always have something to say about it though, because I'm my perfectionist. I was like, this doesn't fit. I don't know if this works or not. And I feel so bad every time saying that, because I don't like laying people down and stuff, letting them feel bad and stuff like that. But I think that's probably part of the reason why we didn't complete things fully, is because I was just I don't know if this sounds as best as we can possibly make it, so that's probably why we never got anything done. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. So, and I
guess that leads up to now. It's what changed since then?
What changed since then is that what I realized was that
I'm less of a perfectionist, I think. It's just at the end of the day, you're gonna suck ass in the beginning. That's regardless. First episode's just gonna, as much as we're gonna try, it's still not gonna be as great as our 20th episode.
Yeah, or because the 100th. If hopefully we
you have to be very, chill on yourself. What's the right terminology? Just go easy on yourself. And
I think the most significant thing that changed from then to now is, I guess, the idea of where are we putting our emphasis and our effort, and where do our passions lie. So for me back then, I started this guitar club because I was I had this music high, this creative, this creator of musician high to make stuff and do stuff. It wasn't a dream to become a famous musician or to have a band. I never thought about that because I knew, that's so much work. I just wanted to make things and have them be good, right? Because I would listen to stuff and I'm like, gosh, I wish I could play stuff like that. But then I started realizing, like you said, I started learning guitar sophomore year of high school, and just going on and then starting the club at Colonia High School. And I think to this day the club is still going and it's stronger than ever.
Wow.
And yeah,
we started something. We
started something. I have my co-founder over here who helped me out. Yeah,
that wasn't me.
Yes,
that was the other guys.
Nah, that was.
But I liked being his favorite student. I like when he was telling me,
You were
"Oh,
awesome, man. You're definitely.
Because I was so into it.
You're
and he was
great.
like, "Dude, you're like the best student." And I was like, "Yes,
He was the only person who like. I shouldn't say that, but in my looking back in hindsight, you're the one who cared the most.
I did.
And I
really did.
And back then, I realized that the people who care the most are the people you want to stick around with. All right, those are the people you want to keep around. So, and I was like, he cares the most. Like it's not. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's after school and you're hanging out with your friends, you're meeting new people that like music. That's awesome. But people who care is so much better. You could barely. I didn't even care if you like didn't even know about rock music or whatever, or if all you liked was contemporary like bluegrass or something. The amount of fun and the amount of like heart you put into it, that's what I cared about. And that's why I was like, man, this guy's a good dude. He's awesome. So that's why to this day I still believe, you were the best student I ever had.
Thank you. Self-esteem slowly rising.
Level 2. Level 2 self-esteem.
Yes.
But that being said, that was my passion at the time. But then when we were a couple years past and become our senior year of high school into our freshman and sophomore years of college, right? And that's when we started kind of like making music together. We do a lot of jams at your house in your basement. I remember all that stuff.
Yeah, that was fun.
But when that started happening, it wasn't so much like, oh, like I'm changing. I'm a different person than I was. It was just like, oh, I'm not like I started realizing like making music isn't what I really want to do. What I love doing is listening to music, finding new artists, and just appreciating the craft. And that's what I ended up being able to differentiate since then and now, like 5 to 6 years later, is like there is a significant difference between appreciating the craft and having a desire to create and be a part of being a craft maker. So I started realizing that. I didn't know what it was, so I couldn't explain myself. So as my kind of like desire to do that started dying out, I could see that it was frustrating you. I could see it was making you upset because you just wanted to make and to produce and put out. And I was just like, this isn't really my thing. Like, this isn't what I want to do. But back then, I didn't have the words for it. And so that's why I was just kind of...
It didn't help that I was, like, perfectionist, too,
about
it.
And
so I was, everything he even sent me, I was, like, shooting down sometimes.
You were like, nah, this isn't good, or like, nah. And then I'm over here, I'm like, well, it just took me so much effort to actually record this thing because I so don't want to, because it's just not my passion.
Yeah.
But I still do it, and then to get like critical negative feedback, it's just like, oh, this is rough.
Yeah.
So that all happened, and then we had like our little thing going on for a couple of years. We had a break, a Rachel and Ross break. All right, but nobody cheated.
Yeah.
Ross. Nobody cheated. No, they were definitely on a break. But no, it was a good time being apart, and then just kind of like coming back fresh and just hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
And I think that was so necessary.
So so what changed from now until then? The whole, I guess, with this podcast.
It's really just, again, the attitude and the placement of the proper placement of passion and effort versus just this high. All right.
And I think the whole thing about creating something.
Exactly.
It's perfect for this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like this is definitely something that, back in 2014, there were podcasts out. Podcasts were a thing, but it wasn't a huge thing.
Yeah.
Things like Audible, it was just like, no one really liked that stuff. It was like, audiobooks, nah, They didn't even like Nooks and Kindles. And now it's just like they have 100 different versions of Kindles and Nooks and all these electronic mediums of, things that we would typically, contrary to the typical ways we enjoy entertainment. We listen to music, but listening to people talk about what? Like, I don't want to listen to people talk for like an hour about something.
That's what I was thinking. Like, but then people actually do.
Yeah,
there are a lot of people that listen to podcasts, man. It's crazy.
There's and it's like it's one thing to listen to like, a perfect example is like Josh Peck's podcast. It's called Curious. Another recommendation. There you go. Really good one. It's really good if you like interviews. because the whole thing is interview.
Mhm.
It's just him, and whenever he's not interviewing like another celebrity or a writer, producer, whatever, creator, content creator, then he's kind of monologuing a little bit.
Mhm.
And if you like that type of humor, this kind of like schmucky, yuppie, kind of like monologue humor, Jewish humor especially, it gets pretty funny. He throws in a lot of Jewish humor, and it's not trying to be discriminatory or anything, but it's funny the way he nuances things and he places emphasis. He really adheres to that part of himself, and it's great. If you're into that. It's a very specific taste of humor, and it's a very specific taste of podcast, right? Auditory consumption. And thinking about that, like creating content like that, or creating content freeform, whatever we wanted to do. And I think that's a huge thing that's changed, because before we were like, we got to adhere to the structure and it's got to be perfect. Whereas now it's just like, podcasts are a thing. There's so many different types of entertainment now that are so much more popularized than they used to be back then when we were doing the music thing. We were on the music high. So it was just kind of like, oh, well, this is a thing that we could totally do. This is something we're both good at. And we love talking to each other. I mean, I love talking to you, man. So,
yeah, me too.
And I'm like, shoot, my girlfriend had an awesome idea. Let's do this thing. I have a podcast, and who better to have a podcast with?
I mean, she enjoyed it too.
Yeah.
So that made me feel better. It's like, all right, so it has some credence to it. It's not like we're just rambling.
Exactly.
There's actually some material there.
Yeah, there's some substance.
Some substance.
There.
Yeah, exactly.
So and I know there are times where I'm up till now. There have been already a few points where I'm kind of rambly or whatever. There's gonna be times in the future where we're gonna get rambly and ranty, but that's just kind of the part of it. We're not really trying to be like, we don't have a script here. We don't have a checklist or anything. Yeah. We got nothing. We're just totally off the dome.
It's natural, man.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just very organic. I have a loose script maybe, but you get the general idea. But at the end of the day, it's just this natural human conversation. This is real. This is not. This is a real human documentary. Humanoids talking to each other. I don't know.
It's
raw,
it's
man.
Properly natural, raw, vegan, unadulterated, 100% auditory consumption,
non-GMO,
no trans fat. That's the point, man. We're for everyone out there who's listening, and again, we can't emphasize just how much we appreciate you listening and starting this journey with us and tagging along with us and hopefully sticking around with us and seeing how we kind of progress. And you guys can definitely let us know what we can improve on, what you like, what you don't like, or elements that we should add maybe from other podcasts that you listen to, or maybe YouTube channels, and stuff that you really like and you think would be awesome for us to do. Sure, yeah. But we definitely have some of our own ideas that we're going to implement, like some future Reddit AMAs and stuff like that, or we can read questions and stuff, do like surveys, do those BuzzFeed quizzes and stuff. We got a lot of ideas coming up, and if you guys can think of anything, that'd be awesome. But yeah, no, I think altogether this is kind of us. We definitely wanted to introduce ourselves. This is kind of how the format's gonna be, and I think it's a pretty solid one, at least for now. And I don't know if you agree or not.
Yeah, this is pretty good. We're always gonna like redefine it, like make more versions of this. Get better and better as we do it. But I hope you're sticking around for the journey. I guess.
Definitely. Yeah, we can't stress that enough. And so that was just a little bit about us. Well, just super quick about currently, and I guess this can be like kind of our time capsule,
Yeah.
People like bury it, and then 20 years later they go back to see.
That's a good idea.
So we're gonna do a quick little blurb about each of ourselves, just like who we are currently, some personal information really quick, and what we're doing in our lives, and one, I guess, long-term goal.
All right.
Wow. All right. Let's do that. Let's do that for the listeners. So again, my name is Ezekiel Orellana, and you heard Jeff call me earlier. If you don't know me, a lot of people call me Zeke. But I would prefer if you either call me Ezekiel, drop the E, or call me by my middle name, Isaac. So I got 4 names. Pick one.
He never liked Zeke.
I hate it.
Fun fact, but I've been calling him this long, and he just kind of...
I'm cool with my girlfriend calls me Zeke, my best bud over here calls me Zeke, my siblings call me Zeke. for all intents and purposes, against my own desires, my name is Zeke. Unfortunately.
I think it's okay, but yeah.
You guys can call me Isaac.
I'm gonna start calling you Isaac.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen. I know it's never gonna happen. Call me Ezekiel. See how that goes. Drop the E. It's spelled with the QU.
Okay.
Anyways, Ezekiel Orlana. Currently, I am 23 years old. Birthday is May 29th, 1996.
Don't forget the date.
Yes. We're gonna do some special stuff for our birthdays too. So that's why we're dropping that little nugget of information here. 23 years old. And right now, I'm going to grad school at New Jersey Institute of Technology in the lovely, lovely Newark, New Jersey. Just a beautiful place to be. It's disgusting. I'm going to grad school right now, doing chemical engineering. Super boring, but as for long-term goal, one long-term goal that I have is to one day, you guessed it, own a coffee shop.
Oh.
To own and run a coffee shop of my own, not a chain or whatever, totally my own. With my current girlfriend and an expectant wife in the future, because I love the heck out of that girl. But yeah, so that's a little bit about me. What about you, man?
Ah, man. All right. I don't have any long-term goals. All right. Anyways, so my name is Jeffrey Cherian. I am 23 years old. You said you're 23, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you know he's 23.
Feeling 23.
23 years old.
There you go.
23 is young. 23 years old. All right.
When's your birthday? When is
March 25th.
Here we go. Woo!
1996.
Mark that in the calendars.
The day of Jeffrey.
We're going to spam his social media all together. All right, March 25th. We're doing it, people.
Mr. Aries.
Yeah.
I don't believe in that stuff. Anyways, so taking a break from college at the moment, on academic probation, fantastic. But I'm
it's cool, man. It's cool.
It's life, man.
Hey.
I'm just being honest.
Nah, you're fine.
I'm just being honest.
You're chilling.
But
yeah.
I have this band thing going on. I like he said, I'm into music. I have this band called Indigo. You can go check them out on Facebook and Instagram. Indigo Band New Jersey. We make alternative music. So I'm focusing on that mainly. I'm probably gonna get a part-time job soon. It's possibly a coffee shop, So.
Oh, lo and behold,
yeah.
right?
I might just end up working for your coffee shop.
What a coincidence! Yeah, move with me out to the Pacific Northwest. Man.
Oh, all right, we'll see.
Make the jump.
But 5-year goal, man.
Long term. What do you?
Here's the thing. I'm not like the type of person who like thinks in long term. I should be. I think that's probably part of my problem is I have to think more long term. Hopefully I finish up my degree or get something more stable. Get something more balanced. Hopefully this podcast gets somewhere. I'm hoping for the best for my man Zeke right here.
Oh, thanks.
I mean Isaac.
See, it's never gonna happen, dude.
Just hoping for the best for everyone.
One thing that you just definitely hope that happens in the future.
23?
In the
23
future.
right
It could be when you're 70, it could be when you're 45, whatever. One thing. What's one big thing that you hope that happens to you?
Hopefully I find someone. Hopefully I find someone.
There we go. Respect.
Yeah. All right. Find that special person.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know around that time my mom's like, "Yo, you should get married at 28," and I'm like,
"That's tough.
That's a pretty decent age. Hopefully find someone at least. Around that time. I think it'll be different 5 years from now. There's a whole thing about every 5 years or more. Different. Like 5 years ago, I was a lot different. 18.
Oh,
no reality.
Yeah,
it doesn't even.
There's nothing there.
And 5 years before that was 13.
Yeah,
that's nothing. You're a completely different person. So 5 years from now, I'm gonna be probably more adult-like and kind of boring or something. But
back then you were a schmuck.
Yeah.
Now you're schmuck 2.0.
Yeah.
And one day you'll be the whole package mensch.
What does mensch mean?
I don't really know, man. Just a good guy, a mensch of a guy.
Mensch of a guy, yeah, hopefully.
A cool guy.
Yeah.
I really hope I'm
I feel like I'm
going
to be a cringy dad person, making dad jokes all the time.
A dad person.
A dad person. Yeah, that's me. That's me. So
Yeah.
now you know. But it's pretty good. I think as far as podcasts go, we have like two different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we have a lot of similarities, but we also have two kind of little bit different backgrounds.
Yeah, we got distinct
So
backgrounds, distinct personality. Yeah, man.
and
It works.
it brings there's a little bit of contrast, but also similarities. So we got like different, and also invite people. I think we can invite people later on
So
too.
that's another idea that we got. Definitely
So
things
it
that are
should be
coming up.
insightful. It should be a learning, growing. Even this, it's kind of therapeutic too in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, no, definitely. But kind of just adding to a little bit of that. Definitely going to be looking into getting some friends, some family members, and if this thing takes off, and hopefully one day it does, maybe some other people out there, some other content creators or something like that, and we can get them on the pod and get to talking to them, getting to know some more people, getting to know more about some of our friends, and talk about certain topics with them. That'll be a lot of fun. So some days we'll have a group, some days it'll just be us two primarily, and other days might just have one other person, but definitely gonna add more people. Definitely looking to just really bounce around a lot of ideas, and there's gonna be a lot of devil's advocate playing. Jeff is awesome at that. You're awesome at that, man. And there's gonna be.
I never try to stick to one. I guess that's my kind of downfall, but also I guess it's good for conversation. It's like I'm kind of hard to stick on one side.
So there's gonna be a lot of that. Maybe you'll hear some tension, you'll hear some debating, some back and forth. But at the end of the day, it's all love.
It's all love,
and we're doing our best. Not even doing our best. It's not even an effort. We're just having fun. We're just having fun over here, and putting in a good amount of effort into making this enjoyable for everyone. So again, and we can't emphasize this enough. We hope you guys enjoyed listening to us so far. Official podcast number 1. I think I could finally say that. I think we can finally say that.
Yeah, sure. We'll see.
Let's begin with proper introductions. All right, we answered the questions.
Why not?
Yeah, we've answered everyone's questions. What the heck is that about?
Yeah.
Why is that your name? This sounds stupid. Who cares about listening to you? Shut up, Becky. All right. so do you know Becky?
I have a cousin.
Oh.
But she didn't say anything.
All right.
She's all right.
Well,
it's okay.
Well, now you guys all have your answers.
It's all love. It's all love.
Everyone's got their answers. Hopefully, and if you have any other questions or tidbits, recommendations, definitely drop us some comments on Instagram, YDB Pod. As you're gonna hear every week, this is Your Daily Brew featuring Ezekiel Orlana and Jeffrey Cherian. And as always, we hope you enjoyed listening, and we hope to have you guys listening again next week.
Thanks for listening.
All right.
Peace.